I am joined here by Jill Wiseman of Jill Wiseman Designs, all the way from Texas in America, and of course Blossom the giraffe, who wanted to join us today as well. You'll probably know Jill from her amazing YouTube videos, but she also has a bead store and just an all-round wonderful bead lady. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be part of the whole International Beading Week event this year. I've been watching it grow and become this really vibrant community for years now, and so I'm really excited to be part of it.
And you're one of our guest ambassadors for this year, and I know you've got some exciting things planned for Beading Week as well, with a new pattern. Is that right?
Yes, a new pattern is going to be coming out with the accompanying video showing you how to do it. So there'll be written instructions for those who work best that way, and then there will also be the video version too. Excellent. And you won't need much for it, just some delicas.
And you'll be able to find a link to that over on the International Beading Week website as well, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, we wanted to ask you some questions. We've got our daily prompts and themes for this year's International Beading Week. So we've got a few questions themed around that to ask you now.
Okay.
Okay. So first of all, what are your beading hopes and plans for the next year?
Ooh, that's a good one because, you know, all our beading hopes and plans for 2020 kind of got smashed. I will never forget. At one point, I had a whiteboard in my office that had a month-by-month list of what the plan for 2020 was. And somewhere around April or May, I just went and wrote a big X across the whole thing. So it's nice to be able to like have some concrete plans again. We have, my business has changed quite a bit in the last 18 months. And that means that I brought on more staff, which means I am finally going to be able to get back to doing more designing, which I'm super excited about. So my plans basically could mean more beading time for me, more design time, which means more projects for the folks out there, more videos with those projects, and just more techniques also, because I've brought in Crystal Wick, who's another fabulous beading lady, has been in the bead industry forever. And she does things more like wire work and resin and stringing and all this kind of stuff that I can kind of do, but she's the expert. And so we're gonna be able to bring those techniques in also to share with people, which I'm really, really excited about, because gosh, I'm gonna learn right around along with everybody else at the hands of the master. So I'm just excited to get back to beading and less administrative stuff.
That sounds really exciting.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you've got some things you're going to be learning there, but do you have anything next on your learning wish list, your personal learning wish list or your business learning wish list?
Yeah, actually I do. And this is actually prompted by some of my followers. They have been begging me for videos on bead crochet for years. I actually used to know how to do bead crochet. I did it probably 10 years ago, but it's been that long really since I picked it up again. So one of my goals for this year, or the remainder of this year, is to pick it back up, learn it again, get really comfortable with it. And also then, I mean, what I learned was the basic bead crochet, and I would like to learn other techniques with bead crochet, because there's a lot you can do with it, and share that in a really learnable format. Bead crochet can be a bit of a difficult to learn for many people, and my goal is always to make the learning as easy as possible. And so that's one of my big ones for this year. But then there's also things like, I don't know African helix stitch, I don't know Hubble stitch, I don't know Pondo stitch. So I've got stuff to learn yet.
That's a great answer. Thank you. So we can see you've got lots of lovely shelving, and this is your office in your warehouse, isn't it? So
it is.
You obviously have beads at home, you have beads at work. What are your storage hacks?
You know, I've got quite a few of them. That shelving unit right there is the IKEA Kallax or Expedit. I can't remember what the current name for it is, but it's been known by both. Those are fabulous for storage. But actually, just right this second, I actually had to have the work guy leave the office for a little bit while we do this little talk. I'm having an entire wall of shelving added to my warehouse. What I have learned over time is, you know, different people have different ways of dealing with storage. And for me, if it's in a drawer and I can't see it, it doesn't exist. And I forget that I have things, or I forget where they are. So I've learned that I need visible storage. And so this wall of shelves, and I'll share before and after pictures of this wall so that you guys can see what this transformation is going to be. It's going to be all open shelving, and then I'm going to have labeled drawers, and I like to use a clear shoebox drawer that I get from the Container Store in the US. And that way I can visually see through the drawer, so I can see like what kinds of beads are in there, but then I also have the label prompt. And that is the best way for me personally to organize these beads. But then there's also little things. I've got little packs, like somebody just gave me a bunch of these little tins, and they're mint tins. But my plan is to use these as needle storage. So it's got, it's one of these that's got the hinged lid. You can put a little magnet right in there. And then because I'm me, I'm going to bling it out. I'm going to cover the entire thing with little tiny crystals. So I have like 7 or 8 of those. I'm super excited to have those. And then the other big one that I use a lot, are these. These are the photo storage containers. And so they've got little, oops, I guess I'm doing that upside down. It's got, little tabs here. And then you can open it up. And I keep all the materials for a project in there. And if I'm really smart, I put a label on there. And then these stack nicely. They also have containers where you can fit a whole like 10 or 12 of these little containers in. So that's one way that I keep each project that's not currently on a beading board separate. That's also the way, like if I'm going to go teach somewhere, I will keep my samples in a container like that. So all the partial samples that I use as examples when I'm teaching, plus the finished piece also, it keeps it all together.
So do you keep all of your beads at work in your office, or do you have a bead stash at home? How do you?
I actually keep them all at my office now. I used to keep them mixed, and whatever I wanted was always in the other place. So what I've learned to do is pull the beads that I want for a project, put it in a container like that, or put it on a bead board, and then I just take that piece home with me to work on. Sometimes I do work here at the office. Sometimes I do the work at home. So whatever it is I'm working on, I need it to be portable.
That kind of leads us on nicely to how do you sit and where do you bead? You kind of answered that a little bit, but when
a little bit. So I frequently bead at my desk. This has got the best lighting in here. We moved into this new office space about 5 months ago now. And when I came into my personal office the first time and turned on the lights, and went, oh, no, this won't do. Because the lights were, standard office lights, but they weren't bright enough for us beaders. So I made him double the amount of lights that he put in here. And now sometimes I'm kind of like, did I overdo? But it's really good, bright lighting for beading. I mean, the older you get, the more important that becomes. And then at home, I have a little spot in front of, my mom and I live together, and we're like an old married couple. She's got her spot on her sofa, and I've got my spot on my sofa. And we both have these computer trays sitting in front of us. They're mobile carts. So we've got our laptops there that can easily be moved aside, and then put a beading board or whatever right there. And I will frequently bead in front of the TV there with Mom. Again, I've got a light that comes directly overhead. And then we did do a house renovation in 2020, and I had them add a cam light that goes directly over where I sit and bead. Every once in a while, I will bead in the bedroom. That's always ripe for disaster, because it means you're going to wake up with beads stuck to your face, because they always roll off your bead on it board. It doesn't matter. But sometimes that's just what you want to do. It's also not the best lighting. So, that's when I'm really pushing things.
Surely beading embeds the ultimate dream there, isn't it, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Amazing. So talking about beading, we're going to do a bead mat spot test. So there's no cheating, no tidying up in advance. So can you show us what your main, I know you've got plenty of bead mats usually.
I was going to say, I laughed because I've probably got about 20, 25 bead on it boards with stuff everywhere. But here's what's at hand right this second. So you guys are going to get a little preview of project. So this used to be a very nicely organized stash of beads where all of the colors were laid out. And then of course I moved it from place to place, and now it's just a big jumbled mess. And I'm working on a beautiful peyote cup. And that is going to be in a kit and video coming soon. And then I've got one more sitting here on my desk. And that's the bigger one. Eek. Okay, you can see kind of messy. So this one is, I was working on a sample for, we've got some Pantone color kits that we added. So in addition to the gray and yellow, we added in white and black. And so I was making samples out of that kit to show people how versatile that kit is. So those are probably those are the two that are sitting there on my desk. Like I said, I've got many, many more. I've got loom projects. I've got beaded box projects that I'm working on. I've got, usually what I'm working on is either for a video or for a kit. And that's, every once in a while I'll do something for myself. And God only knows where it is on my desk, but I actually recently just made a loom bracelet for myself. I took the time to do it and I was so happy. I'm going to try to do a little bit more of that this coming year. Make a couple of things for myself just for fun.
I think that's really important, especially when you do this for a living. It's so easy to kind of just, and you realize you've got nothing yourself
on the list, you know. So yeah, I'm going to put myself a little bit forward on the list.
That sounds like a good plan. What do you do with your makes? Do you ever sell your jewelry? Do you keep? You said you keep a few bits. Do you have them on display or do you gift them?
It's the endless struggle. I've been in the bead world now since 2002. And so I've got 20 years of makes. And some of them I still wear. I mean, like my very first bead woven bracelet, I still wear occasionally because I really enjoy it all these years later. I think it was really well constructed. Design, you know, the person who designed it did a really good job. I've got class samples for the last 15 years. I've got video samples. I've got, you know, just tons and tons of stuff. So what I did recently when we moved into this new warehouse, because what really has happened, they're in a big box and it just gets thrown into a box. And it's just such a shame. And when I go to find something, I'm having to dig through this box, and it's just such a disrespectful way to hold on to those things. So I bought, again, IKEA, thank goodness for IKEA, right? the one with all the thin drawers. And I stacked 4 of them. So there's 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. And we're putting, as we're finding all the samples, we're putting them in those drawers so that I can refer back to them. Say if I'm going to do a video on, you know, certain kind of class for closure, I can go in there and find samples of that I don't have to recreate the wheel every time. I do occasionally sell pieces to friends. I sometimes give pieces away. I frequently will give pieces to charities who ask for, if they're going to do like a silent auction or something. That's a good place for those samples to go. And then of course I still wear some of them. So that's also part of my personal jewelry stash. But yeah, I have more jewelry than anybody has a right to have. And it's only getting worse year by year.
But it's good to know it happens to the best of us. So
yes, it does.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
So obviously over lockdown, you've mentioned it's been a challenging time. It's sort of thrown everything on its face. But you've been very much in the online world for a long time with your videos, and you have your thriving group. So for you, how do you find what the difference between groups like online versus face-to-face, and what for you are the negatives and benefits of each?
Man, I miss face-to-face. I mean, I love online. Online has certainly changed my life and improved it because, I mean, one of the benefits of online is that you're able to interact with people worldwide. I mean, you and I talk to each other all the time. That's something that wouldn't have happened if we didn't have the internet to be able to have these communications. And that's true of, you know, all my followers on Facebook, all my followers on YouTube. They enrich my life on a daily basis. And I don't think that they really understand that, but they're part of my daily life. And I've made friends with people all the way across the world that I never would have had a chance to encounter in any other way. So that part is fabulous. And I love people being able to interact with each other. You know, so like in the group, it's not just me interacting with them and them with me, it's them meeting each other too. So it's much bigger than just me. But there's really, you know, I miss hugs. I miss, you know, getting together and doing show and tell in person. I miss eating the treats at the beading table, because, you know, there's always treats at the beading table. So online is wonderful, but I think in a healthy world, you need to have both. It's becoming harder in the US because all the big bead shows have disappeared over the last 2 years. So we're kind of trying to figure out what the new normal is and what are the events that we all get together and get to spend time together with. So I think there's a lot of planning and stuff going on behind the scenes as beaders try to take over where corporations used to be. So we'll see some of that in the future. But, you know, our world has forever changed from the pandemic. One of the things that has changed dramatically is the whole teaching, the bead teacher world, because where we used to have to travel around to all of the bead societies and bead stores, now everybody spent the last 18 months learning how to do Zoom classes. And, you know, again, there's positives and negatives there, but it has allowed that part of the beading world to continue, which I'm really grateful for. And it's probably made the lives of beading teachers easier because it's cut down on the amount of travel that they have to do. That's pretty wearing and tearing on you emotionally and on your body. I did it hardcore for 10 years, and now I only do the occasional travel because I kind of feel like I put my time in. You just want your own bed at night, and so that has helped there. But I still feel that need to be in a room of beaders, and I'm looking for ways to make that happen in the future.
Yeah, I think you're right about the classes, though. I think if you were to look at the biggest beading advantages that have come out of lockdown, it's the accessibility for everybody for those classes, for the teachers and for students who previously would not have been able to get to those kind of things.
There have been so many times when people have said, "Oh, well, I want to take this class from you, but I can't afford to travel to such and such a place to do it." And if I can bring it to them on their computer, that's a huge benefit. And for them and for me.
Yeah, for sure. I think my other question was going to be like the beading advantages of lockdown. I think we really you've definitely kind of covered that off there. So that's great. Well, in that case, we've got one more question. This one's kind of a bit of a random one. Just going to throw it in there. I know you've traveled a lot. I've been to the Czech Republic with you, and you've kind of beaded all over the world. But what would you say was the weirdest place that you've ever beaded?
Well, I beaded at a ginormous international gem and jewelry show in Hong Kong. Taught a class in the convention center with literally probably $100 million worth of beads around us, because there were diamonds and pearls and everything. It was just amazing. Certainly I've beaded in the Czech Republic, and not only beaded in the Czech Republic, but beaded in a bead factory. in the Czech Republic, which I think counts for double cool, right? You know, I can't really bead on airplanes anymore. I can't bead very well in hotel rooms. There's not enough light. So in weird places, I mean, I'm more limited because I have to have good lighting and a stable surface and that kind of thing, because I'm getting old and I just can't see as well anymore. So I'll have to stick with locations that are weird.
I think a bead factory, definitely, like you say, you get double points for that. So
Yeah, I like that one. I remember looking in astonishment at the tour organizer when she told me that the class was gonna be held in the bead factory, and I was like, no way, this is like the coolest thing ever. And it was.
we had to pat you down on the way out though, didn't we?
Yeah.
Jill, it was amazing talking to you. Thank you so much. If you'd like to see more of Jill's work, take a look at her website, which is jillwisemandesigns.com, and also her YouTube channel. You can find her on YouTube for plenty of great technique videos as well. And look out for her free pattern, which you'll find over on the International Beading Week website.
I'm super excited about it. Do you want a preview?
Oh, yes, please.
I happen to have like 8 million samples sitting here on my desk.
Just reaching around the giraffe.
Sorry, Blossom. she's my COVID beading buddy. I think you guys are gonna really like it. So, and you can do all sorts of different colorways with it. You can use size 11 delicas. This one is done with size 10 delicas. So if you do find the 11s a little fiddly to work with, we've got that. And I've got tons of different ways that you can put your colors together and play with it. And then this one was one that I made that I've been wearing with the closure. So I'm excited to see everybody working on it.
That's lovely. Thank you so much for sharing.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Thanks, Jill.
Goodbye, guys.